Eleanor Roosevelt once said, "The future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams." I recall 3 distinct dreams from my childhood. I wanted to change the world, to end hate, injustice, and suffering. I wanted to be a mom. And I recall sunbathing on my sidewalk when I was 12 years old, dreaming about being the world's youngest author. 1 year and 11 days ago, not that I'm counting, I held in my hot little hands my first published book. People often tell me I look young, but let's face it, there's no elixir and certainly not enough Botox to turn the clock back that many years. We could stand here all day analyzing why I didn't pursue that writing career earlier in life, but that'd be pretty boring. And besides, there's a reason Verity gave me only 12 minutes to talk. Speaking of reasons, there are 3 reasons that we fail to accomplish our dreams. We are persuaded by others that what we want to do is either impossible for all you parents of Olympic dreamers, it's impractical for all who say we don't have the time, money, or resources, or it's irresponsible, also known as insane, for all you parents of avid video gamers. We perceive that we should be doing something possible, practical, or responsible, also known as sane. Or we have some form of a phobia, and 2 of my biggest fears are the fear of failure and the fear of rejection. And you can help me out with the latter by stopping by to say hi at the end of the event. Though these things typically manifest in our youth, they can develop at any time. Unaddressed, they can mutate into traits that cause us conflict and hold us back from living our best lives. And one of the biggest culprits is fear. That 12-year-old dream, I perceived that writing wasn't a legitimate profession. And I allowed others to persuade me to jump with both feet into the hottest up-and-coming profession, computers. My husband has joked many times that I should have my laptop surgically implanted. And though my writing career was derailed, I am grateful for those torturous years of Fortran, because now I have some idea of how those electronic brains work. On May 11th, 1990, my fairy tale motherhood nearly shattered when my firstborn experienced unexpected complications during delivery and went on to live a total of only 26 minutes. My visions of first smiles and first steps, of graduations and grandbabies morphed into a journey of grief and a grave. Society tried to persuade me into thinking that the worst possible thing that could happen to someone had happened to me. Time and time again, people have said to me, I could never survive that. Yet it was that disaster, the death of my child, that eventually brought me back to that 12-year-old dream, to writing, and to the creation of the 5 Facets philosophy, a groundbreaking guide designed to help us live our best lives, even in the face of adversity. In November of 2001, I convinced a girlfriend to go with me to New York City to help buoy the hard-hit theater industry and to share our emotional currency by letting the world know we would not be scared away by terrorism. Several months following that heroic trip to the city, a stranger approached me at the gas station. He plucked a red rose from his overflowing bucket, and he wished me a good day as he extended the offering. Do you know what I did? I tossed that flower onto the passenger seat of my car, where I watched it slowly shrivel up and die into a black lump. Anthrax, people. Every media forum had been telling us for weeks about the newest type of terror attack. So much for fearlessness, right? Speaking of strangers, one of the biggest fear-producing methods we have is the teaching called stranger danger. In 2005, a lost 11-year-old Boy Scout avoided rescuers for days because he was afraid they would try to steal him. A little less radical example is this simple truth. Every time our children see us speaking with someone they do not know, that person is a stranger to them. Think about all the conversations that you've had in parking lots, in the grocery store, in the post office. How many times has your child later asked, "Who was that?" And you say, "I don't know." We teach our children to fear strangers, and yet we model something entirely different. Communicating with people we do not know is a necessary part of life. My children were 10, 7, and 4 the year we planned a family vacation to Tennessee. A series of high-profile murders and child abductions led me to sit our children down and explain that there are some people in this world who do mean things to others. Sometimes people will trick children, I said, by telling them they need help finding a lost puppy or kitten. It's okay to want to help them, but it's best if you can get an adult to help you help others, I said. I wanted to empower my children and foster that sense of charity while at the same time teaching them about caution. Flash forward to a balmy afternoon on a Tennessee vacation where a dozen adults gathered at the water's edge. I glanced around to note the whereabouts of my children when I spotted my 2 youngest cherubs at the far edge of the bay, chatting with a couple. "What were you guys doing?" I asked. "We were talking to them about the ducks," my animal-loving daughter exclaimed. The world seemed to stall as her words sunk in. We were talking to them about the ducks. When my 2 little ones wandered off to their next adventure, I don't know, mosquitoes maybe, I threw my hands up in the air and I laughed. "Ducks don't bark," I said to my husband. "What?" he said with this puzzled look on his face. "Ducks don't bark. It's not a kitten or a puppy. It's a duck." With that innocent interaction, I came to fully internalize the realization that we can't possibly prepare ourselves or our children for every potential problem. 2 years ago, my eldest living child, who actually turned 21 during the event, had an opportunity to represent the United States in competition in Israel. "You're letting him go?" a couple people asked, as if I had any say in the matter. But when the third person posed that same question to me, I realized what it is that those neighbors really wanted to know. "Aren't you afraid? Aren't you afraid that something could happen to him? That he could die, especially given the unrest overseas?" I began responding to that and similar questions with this: God forbid something should happen to him while he's over there. But if it does, he leaves this world living his passion, doing something that makes him truly happy. I must admit, I did stop to contemplate the sanity of that response, but then I thought about the things that I knew. The United States would never knowingly send its delegates into harm's way. I'd raised my children to be independent, to gather the facts and make the best educated decision for themselves they could in any given situation. And I taught my children to always advocate for themselves. Franklin Roosevelt said, "We have nothing to fear but fear itself." Unhealthy fear holds us hostage. It silences us, and it prevents us from living our best personal, professional, and philanthropic lives, while healthy fear drives us to ask questions, it empowers us to seek answers, and it allows us to rise to our fullest potential. Despite the searing pain that left me gasping for air after my son died, I made a decision in those early days. I didn't want to spend a lifetime mourning him. I didn't know what that meant, what it looked like on the other side, or how the heck I was ever going to get there. But I knew what I didn't want, and I trudged on from there. One of the most beautiful realities that we have in life is this thing called choice. At any given moment, we can choose to persuade ourselves to follow our passions. We can choose to perceive our situation differently, and we can choose to face our fear and forge on. Learning to manage that is key to accomplishing our goals. Everyone has at least one dream. What's standing between you and yours? Thank you.